Why don't we begin? This is the meeting of the Permanent Building Committee, February 15th, 2024.
Okay, first up
First
on
matter is, before that, Lynn, is there anybody who wishes to engage in public participation? Seeing none. To the agenda, Lynn.
Okay, we have a few administrative actions. We wanted to introduce the new bond team members, as well as review the meeting minutes and the monthly invoices, the budget update, and we have to go for a vote to authorize Joe to sign the project funding agreement. We'll give you an update on the trade contract pre-qualifications, as well as the material testing and inspection services procurement process. And then we'll turn it over to SMMA to kind of go over some design updates and the results of our page turn meeting, as well as have Ron do a construction update. And then we'll review the schedule, the remaining schedule for pre-qualification, and then building committee meetings going forward. First up is the January 11th, 2024 building committee meetings.
All right, I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve the permanent building committee meeting minutes dated January 11th, 2024.
Second. Thank you.
Oh, sorry, Tom. I didn't see you there. You got it.
Thanks,
Any
Tom.
discussion? Hearing none, are there any objections to approving the January 11th, 2024 Permanent Building Committee meeting minutes? Hearing none, they're approved.
Okay, next is a review of the January 2024 invoices. I don't see Chip here to go through them, but we have Wakefield invoice, SMMA's invoice, and Bonds invoice.
All right, so I'll do this.
Thanks, Jason.
Right. Yep, so I'll make a motion that we approve under OPM construction documents for left field invoices number 31 times 2. The first in the amount of $88,121 even, and the second in the amount of $63,642 even.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Phil?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Wayne?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
They're approved.
I'm going to lump all these advertising and printing ones together. So I make a motion that we approve under advertising and printing from left field for the Wakefield Daily item and Staples invoices number 000468555 in the amount of $303.60. Invoice number 0004685 in the amount of $784.30. Invoice 29268 for $71.05. Invoice 29450 for $65.74, and invoice 36148 for $77.33.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Phil?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Wayne?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Approved.
All right, I'll go through these individually. Make a motion that we approve for SMMA under AE construction documents invoice 0060666. Actually, there's two, Lynn, that have the same invoice number. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so I'll do the two of those. So there's 2 0060666, both dated February 2nd, 24. One in the amount of $1,069,101, and the second $6,193.91. Second one for traffic consulting.
Second.
Any discussion? Does worry me a bit that the last three numbers are 666, but that's another story.
I thought of that too when I was
Yeah.
typing it in.
Yeah, I just noticed that.
Yes, yes. Any other discussion, comments? Hearing none. Phil,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes,
Wayne,
yes,
Mark,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
motion approved.
okay, make a motion to approve also under SMMA for the culvert extension under A construction documents invoice 0060667 dated February 2nd, 2024 for $3,939 even.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Phil,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes,
Wayne,
yes,
Mark,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
it's approved.
all right. I will make a motion that we approve two invoices with the same number, which I'll read in a second. One for pre-construction services from Bond Building, the other for FSSD, other contingency bond building, CXC Consulting. Looks like an amendment two for a road consultant, invoice numbers 122043-011, both dated January 25th, 24. First in the amount of $28,333.33. Second, $6,136.67.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Phil,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes,
Wayne,
yes,
Mark,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Tom.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Jason. Thank you, Tom.
yeah, sure.
All invoices for January total the $1,266,768.93. So that gets reflected in the total project budget indicated here, and you should have received in your monthly report packet. So as of the end of January, we had a commitment of 12% of the budget, and we have expended 5% of that. We are just about complete with the 90% construction documents. So that's at 95%, and we have expended the amount budget allocated for 90% by that amount as well. Are there any questions on the budget?
Okay, thanks, Lynn.
This is just quickly the cash flow report. It's tracking pretty close to where we should be. I think billings for this month were slightly below, but all in all, the forecasted expenditures are fairly close.
Joe,
Yes,
it's Phil. I got a question for Lynn on the cash flow chart to
Go ahead.
understand it. So Lynn, if you zoom in like around June 26, the first column
Sorry,
like
I was
is
concentrating and it didn't
the
really
first
work.
column is a lot lower. It starts where like the I can't see the headings. Yeah, so revised projections. So if you go down, it starts going off like a lot. Like it's a lot. Like the revised projection is like $2+ million more than the original estimate. It starts getting that way. Is that anything like?
It's
I don't
just the
know. I'm just trying
timing
to
of,
figure out, like, do we have enough, like, do we have to borrow money? Like, does the town know that? Like, is there a matter of borrowing money that they need to borrow more now sooner than they thought? Or I didn't know how to read
That's
this
a good
chart.
question. Yeah.
no, I mean, we kind of got off to a slower start, and that's why the original projections are tracking higher than you know, and we were catching up on the forecasted projections as we go down below here. It's just peaking at a different time frame.
So like December 24, right? The original was 4.144, but now you're showing almost 7. Like, so that's not something the town needs to know about in terms of cash outflow to pay those bills if those come to fruition, or, you know, this is my first big project, so I just didn't know how this ties into like how we pay for this, how, you know, how the town pays for this project.
Yeah, so
Tom, Lynn, let me just Lynn and Steve Mayo, Lynn has been in touch with Steve, and I know Steve has talked to Lynn about the projected cash flow, when what is needed and what is needed to be borrow, and what when the borrowing is to
Yep.
occur. And that's been going on all along. And I know that the last one was about 2 or 3 months ago, wasn't it, Lynn?
Yeah, we give him an update on them and then update on what the reimbursement is as well.
Okay.
So, it gets he gets a status on where we are based on, how we originally started out, and where the thought process on early packages are different, from the original projections over a couple of
Right.
years ago versus how things are starting to pan out, now, but, I mean, he's in pretty regular contact with his bond counsel, so I don't think there's an issue there, but I can try to start to touch base with him on a more regular basis, on a monthly basis, to make sure.
I get just to make sure that big difference is known. And I guess really like, so it has nothing to do with PBC, Joe. Like we don't have to approve different budgets according to this.
No, and the
yeah.
other thing I've had recently, the last month, I'm signing the reimbursements. We're starting to get reimbursements from the state.
Got it. Right.
It helps as
Okay.
well, obviously.
Okay.
Jonathan?
Thanks, Joe. I was just going to add, from a borrowing perspective, we're not borrowing everything in one chunk. There are lots of sort of smaller bond issues and bond anticipation note issues that we're making. And so, as we think about these changes of, from a cash flow standpoint, what, the balance of 2024 looks like now versus what we thought it would, we've got a lot of checkpoints in the process to anticipate that and adjust how much we're borrowing, so we're not borrowing too much too soon, or we're not borrowing too little too later, too late, too much later in the process. It's really sort of a dynamic process that we have lined up in terms of what we're seeking financing for when, so that we're not getting too far ahead or behind the actual
Right.
expenses.
Yeah, that's what I
Alright.
mean when Steve and Lynn have been talking about the various projections.
Yeah, and also too, with the reimbursements coming in too, that helps. One other thing I want to say too is that all of these numbers have all of the contingencies built in and spread out over the months. So each of the months, there's a bit of a contingency in each of them, so.
Thanks.
Okay, any other questions regarding this cash flow? Seeing none,
Sorry,
that's all right.
don't know how to scroll out and scroll back in. Okay, so we had the project funding agreement come in from MSBA, and based on our legal counsel's, they had to sign a document saying who was responsible for signing contracts and amendments on behalf of the project, and it was Joe. But in order for him to sign, it has to be approved by the Permanent Building Committee, and that's why we're coming back to ask you to authorize Joe to sign the project funding agreement.
So do I need to make a motion on this one, Lynn?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
All right, so I will make a motion that we vote to authorize the chair of the Permanent Building Committee, Joseph Bertrand, to execute the project funding agreement between the town of Wakefield and the Massachusetts School Building Authority for the Wakefield Memorial High School project.
Second,
Any discussion? Hearing none, Bill,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Wayne,
yes,
Mark,
yes,
Aaron,
Yes.
Tom?
yes.
Well, unfortunately, that passes, and I'll love signing $1 million contracts.
Hey, Joe, John's on too. I say yes
Oh,
as
John,
well.
I'm sorry.
Sorry,
You're on.
having computer troubles. I wasn't on earlier, but
Okay. And John, do you approve me signing the project funding agreement?
I do. I
figured you
fully
would.
approve it.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, thanks a lot, Jeff. All right.
So next up is where we are with the trade pre-qualifications. I don't know if Tim is on and wants to give a quick update on this?
Yeah, Tim is on.
Okay. Tim?
You're muted.
Are you talking Tim Baker or Tim O'Brien?
Tim
Me.
Baker, sorry.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see
Baker.
you, Tim.
You could do it too, Tim, so, you know.
You don't want to hear from me, Joe.
Okay.
So we had a good turnout. We haven't finalized the scoring with the subcommittee yet of all the individual trades that submitted statements of qualification. So I didn't want to share the packet with you quite yet. That's for the our next meeting on the 29th. But we did receive the minimum amount in each category, with most categories either above the minimum amount of 3 or significantly above the minimum amount. Painting got like 10 or 11. So all in all, good turnout. Firms, I'd say 96% of them we've all either worked for or seen in the bidding process before. Bond's familiar with almost all of them. And you know, we don't really see any firms here that we would consider a problem child. So you know, should be a good turnaround. And then once we pre-qualify, they will be issued the bid documents when they're available. Does anyone have any questions?
Okay, thank you.
This is just a little bit more
Yep.
in terms of the materials testing and inspections. You want to go through that, Tim?
Sure. We received 6 proposals. And again, we're still going through it. We're planning on reviewing with the working group at our last meeting in February and bringing it for approval at the 29th, February 29th. We worked with 6 firms. Everyone is familiar with these firms. We haven't necessarily worked with all of these firms, but we do know of their reputations. I'm still trying to follow up on some reference checks, but other than that, you know, this is going to come down to if they're qualified, and also they submitted pricing. And so we're kind of in the process of evaluating that to find out which one would be the considered the low bid.
Or the most advantageous. Some of these firms provide more services in terms of the types of testing and inspections that they do than others, which may be more advantageous to us, as opposed to having the ones that don't do certain testing have to sub that work out. So there's a lot to talk about in that regard, but I think we'd be okay with any of these.
And typically the ones that sub out work, you can tell they do right away because of their pricing per test is double their other tests and the other competitors. So it's pretty easy to spot where they outsource.
And we'll be reviewing those, the subcommittee will be reviewing those next week, is that correct?
Correct. Same meeting as the filed sub bids.
All right. Then we'll come to the full committee for their approval on the 29th.
Correct.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none.
Okay. Before we start with SMMA's presentation, I thought we had a slide in here to introduce Bond's
You did.
new team members, but I didn't see it.
It was
Get
just
started.
mentioned, but
Yeah. So I don't know, Dave, if you're here, want to introduce your new team members? I'm going to stop sharing for a moment.
Sure. I'll let them introduce themselves, but just to give everyone a quick synopsis of where we're at. So as we get into construction, our team is expanding. Obviously, it's going to continue to expand, but the key players that you'll be seeing and hearing from every month during construction and doing the monthly reporting, Brendan O'Malley and Marcus Dow. So I'll let you guys introduce yourselves in your role.
Good evening. I'm Brendan O'Malley. I'm a project executive. Very excited to join the team and really looking forward to breaking ground on this exciting project. Marcus?
Marcus Dow, Senior Project Manager. Excited to be on this project.
Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
yes.
Thank
You may be excited now, but after we start, you know, giving you a hard
Yeah,
time.
when you start presenting change orders to Joe, you won't be so excited.
Oh, wait, that is really
Peaks and
unbelievable.
valleys, I'm sure.
No, we won't have any change orders.
By the way, Dave, there was a question, but while I have you, I
Yes, sir.
mentioned it to Lynn today, the fence and the baseball field. Do we know where that status is? It's coming up here, isn't it?
Yeah, but you do realize that that's in the town scope and not bonds, right?
Right, but
We,
Jerry.
we will get our resident superintendent to follow through with the town and see what happens. Worst case scenario is we can take down the existing and get our temp fence up while the town decides when they're gonna put the new one in.
Yeah, because we really have to, I mean, it's getting that time now. I mean, we've been talking about this for too many months. We
Agreed.
gotta make sure we get that done.
Well, as Dave and I spoke today about it, it really, I mean, if it comes down to it and they need to get their fence up, like Dave said, they'll just take down the existing fence and put theirs in, and then the town can put theirs up whenever they want.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we can do this in the correct order, but if that's,
I mean, we
so
have
be,
that fallback.
yeah, so be it.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been talking long enough, this should have been done. Tim O'Brien, Tim, do you know of anything recent? Tim? Did we lose him?
He's on mute. He's here. He's on mute.
Muted.
Tim?
He may have stepped away.
Yeah, maybe did.
So with
All right,
that,
we'll get back to
I
him,
don't
but
know
I'm
who.
coming back to ask Tim. All right.
Next is the design presentation, and I'm not sure who wants the screen share. So that,
Lynn, if you could give it to me, that would be great.
Joe.
Yep.
Or Joe, sorry. So good evening, everyone. I feel like I just saw most of you. And really mostly what Tom, Faust, and I would like to do this evening is to report back on some of the page turn comments we heard last Tuesday. We're still working on a number of them as well that we'll dig into more depth with the working group. But we did have some to report back on for you this evening. So I will go ahead and hopefully pull up the right screen here. And did that work?
Yep.
Okay, it looks like I've got something strange here. All right. So Tom, would you like to talk through the first item, which is really a slight change to accommodate needs between two of the PE related spaces?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everybody. So as was mentioned at the page turn last week, we've been reviewing some options with the school to allow for wrestling practice. Because space has always been at a premium for wrestling practice, and I think a few people here in this group have attended meetings where we've discussed where we can put this in the building. And after shuffling it around a few times between the aux gym, main gym, and back to the multi-purpose, we found that this really made the most sense for the school. And we have reviewed this with Amy and Brendan and gotten approval from them that this works on their end. So what you see here, the plan at the top is the current proposed plan, and the one at the bottom is what we carry through for 60%. So previously we had a slightly smaller multi-purpose room that could at best fit 6 wrestling practice mats, which are those squares with circles in the middle of them. But really the program called for at least 9 practice mats to make it feasible for wrestling practice. So what we came back with was slightly moving the multi-purpose room wall towards the fitness center. It really only shifted, I think, maybe 4 or 5 feet in order to fit those mats. But when we did that, we were able to better utilize the fitness center space. There's actually some fluff in there, some extra square footage that wasn't really being used for the fitness center equipment. We pushed the athletic storage to be between fitness center and multi-purpose room so that it can be utilized for both of those programs. The trainer was actually able to get larger, might even be slightly larger than it needs to be, so we could look at fine-tuning this a little bit further, possibly carving out a little bit more storage. But we didn't lose any fitness equipment in this layout. I actually think it's a better layout in terms of general day-to-day use. We got the 9 mats in the multipurpose room. Now, when we allow for wrestling in the multipurpose room, there is a bit of a conflict because originally that space was primarily slated for things like dance, yoga, meditation, etc. So we had mirrors and ballet bars along the walls, and that doesn't really work with wrestling practice. So what we're doing now is having typical gym mats on the walls of the multipurpose room, most walls in the multipurpose room, and utilizing mobile mirrors and ballet bars that can come out as needed. And, typically be stored in the athletic storage room or in a corner of the space. Those are the images at the right. The mirrors are hard to see, as is typical with mirrors, but they are mobile on casters and can be locked in place. And the mobile bars are literally just bars that move. And these are also fairly typical. We've gotten some feedback from manufacturers that a lot of schools are moving towards mobile bars that apparently a lot of students tend to lean on ones that are, attached to walls. They get damaged easily and quickly, whereas the mobile are a little more versatile in that respect. So this is what we're proposing. Again, a little bit of fine tuning still needs to happen, but this is what we're carrying 90%.
Tim, you raise your hand?
I was just gonna let you know Tim O'Brien's back.
Oh, okay.
So, sorry, Joe, I had to run up and deal with a
Okay.
bedtime issue.
That's quite all
With
right.
one of my kids.
Understandable. All right. We'll get back to you, Tim, later. We're going through
Understood.
the studio space, okay?
Yep.
All right. Any questions regarding the fitness and multi-purpose studio spaces update? All right. Thanks, Tom.
Okay.
Ellen?
Go to the next one. This is just an enlarged plan.
Yeah, sorry
so
about
yeah,
that.
Yeah, I don't think we covered it. So I think we can go to the next image. So there was a question about the hallway DH-117, which is the secondary athletic entrance into the building. We looked at whether this can be increased in width. Unfortunately, we have 2 things really working against this. First and foremost is that column that is circled in red. This is a column that carries the load of the gym above. If I showed the second floor plan, you'd see that this frames out the wall of the gym above. It also is a very critical brace frame. You can see that dashed line at the bottom of it. So we can't really relocate this beam, especially with the bid package out, and involve quite a bit of redesign. So with that being fixed, if we were to increase the width of the corridor and push the wall to the north, which is to the right of the page, we would have a very large column bump out in that space and somewhat defeat the purpose of having a wider hallway. So we then looked at shifting it to the left, which is south. Unfortunately, the girls' locker room is here, and we are extremely tight on space in the girls' locker room. We barely make required ADA clearances across the space, and we have a minimum locker count that we need to meet. And at this point, shrinking anything in that space results in losing a locker. So we're trying our best to avoid that. So on our end, we think the current corridor width is the best option. An easy thing to do would be to increase just the security vestibule size, which is that area in blue. There's nothing preventing us from doing that. But I'm not sure if that really gets us the space that we're looking for, as the majority of the hallway would still be at the slightly reduced width.
What's the width, Tom?
7.6 at the moment.
Yeah, so the concern is it's gonna be tough to fit stuff through there, or just the volume of people?
I think it was more the volume of people.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess considerations be made maybe with just because it's going to be a main entrance in and out for events, right? If I remember right? If the school's closed, this would be the door most people would be coming in and out of. Is that correct?
Yeah, for athletic events, right?
For athletic events. So like anything we can do, I guess, visually or just to make it more welcoming, I guess, because it is rather than just a hallway, and maybe that's already in the works, but being such a focal entry point after hours, if we can't make it wider, we can maybe make it look, nice. So But thanks for looking into all those options.
Yeah, I think I think that widening that security vestibule might make a lot of sense. Maybe I'm gonna look further into that and see. Because if it is the main entrance there for those athletic events,
Mhm.
so it might make sense. We should continue to take a look at that.
Okay. I'll
So
take
Tom,
that
you
back.
would just be
Yep.
getting
Amy
rid
or
of,
Tim O'Brien, any comments regarding that?
Are we, around that hallway?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd agree with you, Joe. I think if it is going to be a main entry point for events, we definitely want to consider making it feel welcoming. You know,
Yeah.
I don't want it to be a pinch point.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and maybe that vestibule expansion might, that partial expansion might help in that regard.
For sure.
Yeah. Amy, any thoughts? Amy, you're on mute.
No, I agree. I think what you're saying makes sense.
Okay, all right, thanks. All right, anybody else have any questions regarding that hallway?
Sorry,
That's
going
all
too
right.
fast.
Anybody else have any questions regarding that hallway? All right, go ahead.
Okay. Staying in the athletics world.
Yeah. So Chip had asked about the finish on the athletic lockers. Unfortunately, our Revit model was showing a somewhat incorrect model for the lockers, where it basically showed like a flat panel with no perforations, but that's certainly inaccurate. We went back and double checked the specs, and the specs call for something very similar to this. It's a metal panel door with diamond-shaped perforations throughout the majority of the base of the locker, for maximum ventilation. So it's not exactly the wire mesh that I believe Chip had referenced, but it serves the same purpose. So this is what's in the spec at the moment, and this is what we'll carry in the project.
And have we discussed that with the school and the athletic department?
We have had meetings with Brendan to review the locker rooms. Yeah.
Yeah, those
This
look
specific
nicer
one?
than, they look nicer than the wire mesh too. I like them.
Yeah, this specific type of locker. Tom?
Oh, did I review this? Yes, yes. This,
Okay,
yeah,
yes,
this
yeah.
is again the basic design. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
So we were also asked to look at the gym storage doors. There is a very linear storage area at the south of the gym. The plan at the left is what we had shown at the page turn. It was a series of 3-foot doors, not exactly the best layout. So we went back and looked at this and added a series of double doors, 6-foot wide double doors, which should give more than enough access to this space for any number of items that large items that need to be stored in the gym. Again, a little more fine tuning needs to happen to make it work well with the gym pads, but this is the overall design that we're going to proceed with.
Any questions regarding the gym storage? And have you gone over with Brendan on this one as well?
Not this specific change, no.
Well,
But,
I think you should, because we have to know, make sure that things can fit in that storage that need to be fit in there. So make sure that we go over everything with them, okay?
Will do.
All right. Tim or Amy, any questions regarding that gym storage?
Looks good to me.
Okay.
Yeah, that one we felt was really found storage. So
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
we were all pretty excited about the possibilities there.
Yeah, it's a weird spot. It straddles the building expansion joint, so I can't use it for much more than storage anyway. But
Right.
it's good to use it. Yeah.
Changing gears.
Yeah. So this one's site. I will admit I'm probably not the best person to get into the details with this, but site did provide us a markup. There was a comment about, I believe, like legibility of materials and also on the seat count, like the fixed seat count at the track. So they highlighted in yellow at the bottom there, the fixed, I believe those are the precast or the granite. Sorry, I think those are the granite seats. And the orange are also, those are precast block seats. So in total, there are 350 fixed seats along the track. There's also the lawn, which is the green highlighted area that can be used for informal seating. You know, people can bring lawn chairs, etc., in those areas.
Any questions regarding the seating around the track?
A lot more than that's there now. Thanks for
Well, yeah.
pointing
well,
that out.
I think maybe 3 or something might be important.
Right,
All right.
looks
All
good.
right.
Great.
Yeah, okay, go ahead. Next one.
And I believe this is the last one. This is another site item. There's a question about the basis of design and durability on the shade sails that are in the central commons, the exterior of the building. So the basis of design is called Sails. It's a product by USA Shade. It's an HDPE mesh, and the life expectancy is 12 years per the manufacturer. And I think that was all the info that I have, unfortunately.
And we were thinking as well as of having replacements. Is that right?
Yeah. I think Helen, was there Pete give us any info on that?
He did not, but I think we can
No.
leave this one open. I mean, this might also fall into the attic stock discussion,
Yes.
Joe. So,
Yes.
but again, the main question was about durability and life of the material.
Yeah.
So,
And I think in New England, these last longer than say in the southern states.
Why is that?
Even
Because
because of the
Take it-
sun?
You
exposure.
take it down in the winter? But-
Yeah, even with the ice and snow? Or do you take them in during the winter? Yeah.
You can take them down, but I mean,
Yeah.
no, I'm just talking about the ultraviolet
All right. All right.
sun that tends to over time deteriorate them.
yeah. Good point.
Could I
I
ask
think
just how
that's
big one,
it.
if
Yeah.
we were to order, if they were to order more of those for attic stock, how big is like a box that one of those comes in?
Don't know, but
Yeah, I don't-
Okay.
I mean, you could certainly roll it up. That's on the
Yeah.
plus side.
It looks like it,
So,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, we can continue to discuss this item with respect to attic stock, I think.
Just, are those shades rated for wind load?
What's that, Wayne? I misunderstood you.
The
What?
shades, are they rated for wind load?
I would assume so, but I will admit I don't have any experience with these products. I'd have to
Yeah.
check the site.
All right, just see if you can find out what they're rated for the win.
Okay.
Great. That's all we have. We have additional questions that arose from the page turn that we'll continue to work on and report back on. But we did at least want to follow up on those items for you.
And regarding the page turn, I'd just like to comment, I thought went very well. And you know, if you haven't, if you weren't able to attend, or you could only attend for part of it, I know it was recorded, so if you want to go back and look at it, I thought it was a tremendous opportunity to go through everything, and we learned a lot. And I want to thank SMMA for it, and Bond, and Left Field especially for bringing the sandwiches. But like I said, if you want to look in further, you can look at it. It was all recorded. All right, Lynn?
Muted.
We also have one other slide in regards to where we stood with the lead scorecard. And I'm not sure, I think this came out of questions that came into the team about where we stood with our lead scorecard. Oh, sorry. So it's we thought it was worthwhile to stick this in here, and I don't know if SMMA wants to just do a quick overview of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're still tracking, you know, a definite silver. Of course, we all have to be fastidious and follow up on everything to make sure we get all of our prerequisite points. And, oftentimes we can get into gold. But again, we are tracking against silver certification for this project.
And are we on target for the silver?
We are. We
Okay.
are. You'll see it's a little hard to read, but
Yeah, it's very hard to read. Okay.
the green column are the ones that we feel confident in getting. The yes category is totaling 55. And in the really tiny print, certified is 40 to 49 points. Silver is 50 to 58 points. Gold
59.
is 59. Thank you. Gold 60 to 79. So again, we're firmly in a silver category at the moment.
So we're looking at 55 and you need 5 more points to get to the gold. Is that what it is?
Yep, and you'll see the second column is maybe points. And again, there are still opportunities to bump up the points. We have to look for those opportunities.
So I
And
will say that in
remind-
order to get our additional reimbursement, we only need to meet the silver. So
All right, but remind me what is the advantage to get gold? Do we get additional reimbursement? What if we reach the gold standard, what do we accomplish? What do we get?
Bragging rights
A
and
cleaner earth.
potentially,
a more
potentially,
sustainable building.
exactly. And in certain ways, I mean, this is very much a point system that is an imperfect measure, if you will, of sustainability, but it certainly forces us all to be thinking about these things. So
Right. We don't get any additional reimbursement.
you got it. No more money. Just
No.
a different color metal.
Oh, boy. So we get to wear that. Do we get oh, well. Okay.
I think
Well,
there'll be
let's keep trying.
competition between Galvin and the high school. I think we got gold on the
I thought we did, didn't we?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think we did.
Uh-oh, the gauntlet has been thrown down. Okay.
Yeah, I think
See
we
what we
did.
can do. All right.
Maybe the standard was not as hard.
So, we are early in the process. That being said, the project was registered back at the beginning of DD, which is a long time ago, almost a year ago. And pretty soon the team will be submitting the first batch of points, which are the points that the design team has the most control over, if you will, that are baked into the design. And then the second submittal comes towards the end of the project. And that's where we're going to be working with Bond to make sure all of the things that need to happen during construction get done. So it is a 2 review process with the USGBC.
Ellen, I'll throw you a bone on this one. It was not lead version 4 for Galvin. It was the previous version. So
Thank
Yes.
you.
Right.
Much
But we
easier.
got the highest mark at the time.
Well-
they raised the bar.
Platinum is higher than gold, Joe.
Well,
Don't even go there.
yes.
Okay, so with that, I'll turn it over to Bond to just give a quick update of what's coming up in terms of construction in this first bid package.
Sure. So we don't have a lot to add tonight, but in future months, we obviously will. As we get into construction, we'll have, some of you will remember from the Galvin project, we'll do a monthly report that we'll submit each month to you that has, the status updates for financials and progress and all that. But, and then we'll do an overview report each month that, Brendan and Marcus will take the lead on. But just a quick update of what's been happening since the last time we met. We've got the early bid package for site structure and elevators has gone out, and we've gathered the initial bidding for that. We're in the process now of vetting those to make sure that all the scope is captured, and then we'll begin to schedule de-scope meetings with the design team and in left field to make sure that everybody's got their eyes on it before we make recommendations to award. We're also at the same time finishing up the estimates, which will be issued tomorrow for vetting and reconciliation next week. The good news is we're taking the early bid package actual bids and rolling those into this estimate. So a significant chunk of the risk will be behind us, and we'll have it baked into the estimate, which will be great. So we're targeting to get you another interim GMP with those early trades into it for the meeting on the 29th. That looks positive at this point. Should have all those scopes ready to go for that. So that's what we're targeting.
Okay.
And then we'll be mobilizing. Nothing's changed on our construction schedule. Still planning on mobilizing with the temp fence and temp parking starting mid-March.
Okay, when is, what, middle of March, is that when you're gonna start? What's this, is that?
Yeah, that's when we'll do the enabling work in mid-March. Yep. That's been, we haven't changed that start date since probably SD.
Okay, which then flows into Tim O'Brien.
Now I'm ready.
All right,
I spoke with Dennis Fazio today.
I didn't even have to ask the question. You knew exactly what I was
I
gonna
know
ask.
exactly what the question is.
Yes,
They're expecting the rest of the materials that they need on Tuesday. They will be on site immediately following Wednesday, Thursday for the install of the outfield fence.
great.
Great timing with it being vacation.
Yep, perfect, good. All right,
Worked out.
good to hear. Thanks, Tim.
You
Appreciate
got
it. Any other questions regarding bond construction update?
With that, just a quick overview. We have our next meeting on February 29th, where we'll be looking to get a vote of approval to submit the 90% construction documents. We have to go through a cost reconciliation, and at that point, we'll be reporting on where we stand with the budget as well. We'll be submitting to MSBA on March 4th. Our next permanent building committee after that will be March 14th. And we're hoping either at the February 29th meeting or the March 14th meeting, we'll be asking to approve the pre-GMP 1 or 3 for bid package number 1. So, and again, bond mobilizing on site in the middle of March.
Any questions regarding the schedule? Hearing none. Lynn,
That's it.
that'll do it.
All right.
Anybody have any questions or comments before we adjourn? Seeing none. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. And
Second.
all in favor, click that leave meeting button. Talk to you later. So see you in
Thank
2 weeks,
you. Good
29th.
night.